Today's episode tells the story of former Mbazi commune, where when the genocide against the Tutsi started, Hutu and Tutsi men joined hands to fight off the attacks. This lasted until the local leaders advised all who had showed up to fight to return to their homes, a tactic used to attack Tutsi households during the night and gather all fleeing survivors of the attack at Byiza Stadium. April 25th, 1994. Massacres against the Tutsi in the former prefecture of Butare, Gitarama, and Kibuye. Since April 7th, 1994, the French political authorities were worried that the RPF will win the war. They never wanted to admit that the Tutsi were being killed by a government that had planned the massacres, even though they had the crucial information. This is why France, to fight against what it called the enemy, did everything possible to oppose a resolution of the United Nations Security Council on the recognition of the genocide perpetrated against the Tutsi. This was expressed when on April 21, 1994, the Resolution 921 relating to the massacres in Rwanda was being considered. The French ambassador to the Security Council, Jean-Bernard Mérimée, did everything possible to ensure that these massacres were not qualified as genocide. The Security Council followed the advice of the French ambassador and the resolution baselessly, regretted the acts of violence and the unnecessary killings which were taking place in Rwanda. The resolution made no mention of anyone responsible for the massacres and avoided labeling the massacres as genocide, while the United Nations had all the necessary evidence. When the genocide started in Mbazi, the entire population resisted the attackers who came from former Maraba commune. At the beginning, all the men, Hutu and Tutsi, were fighting together. But the Prefet Sylvain Sabimana and Antoine Sibomana, the mayor of Mbazi, went to the junction of Mbazi and Maraba and told those who had come to stop the attackers to return to their homes and defend themselves there against their only enemy, the Tutsi. It was around 3 p.m. and during the night, the Tutsis were attacked and driven from their homes. The following day, Burugmestre Sibomana Antoine declared, "When grass has to be burnt, they need to gather it." And immediately the fleeing Tutsis were surrounded and gathered at Byiza Stadium. He then declared that when a snake is wrapped around a calabash, it must be broken. He intended to scare the Hutus so that they believed that they could not hide Tutsis at risk of being killed themselves. April 22nd, 1994. Prosecutor Mathias Bushishi, accompanied by Burugmestre Sibomana Antoine and Prefet Sabimana Sylvain, came to falsely reassure the Tutsi refugees, a trick to prevent them from fleeing. On April 25, 1994, very early in the morning, a soldier of the rank of warrant officer named Gatwaza and killers from all sectors of Mbazi surrounded the Byiza Stadium and started throwing grenades and opening fire. And after, they killed Tutsis using traditional weapons, clubs, machetes, spears, etc. The killings continued until 10 a.m. When the grenades and ammunition ran out, Gatwaza called on the Interahamwe to continue surrounding and killing refugees while he went to collect more ammunition from Ngoma military camp. He returned around 2 p.m. with ammunition. The massacres continued using traditional weapons. At Byiza Stadium, more than 7,800 Tutsis were killed. In the former Shanda commune, where Save sector is currently located, the genocide started late since April 20th, 1994. Tutsis started to flee to the commune and at Save Catholic Parish, and the killing started between April 21st to 25th, 1994. Those who were killed were from Ndora, Muganza, Nyaruguru, and Ruhashya, former communes. The Tutsis and the Hutus were intermarried in the Shanda commune, and this commune was dominated by the PSD party. One of the reasons why the Tutsis felt safe there because the PSD opposed MRND. The authorities therefore adopted a particular strategy to start the genocide in this area. When Sindi Kubgabo came to Butare on April 19, 1994 to incite Hutus to kill Tutsis, he also went to Shanda to incite the population to commit the genocide. Pauline Nyiramasuhuko came to tell them to kill the Tutsis and told them that Hutu women would find other husbands. Interahamwe went to the home of Pauline Nyiramasuhuko's sister-in-law called Leokadi, Nawabari's sister, Nyiramasuhuko's husband, who had married a Tutsi man called Xavier, and took their eldest daughter Epiphanie, who had just finished school and worked at the university, and her brother, and threw them into the lake called Disha. The young man was first molested before being thrown in the lake. Because they did not trust the Hutus of Shyanda and the communal authorities to carry out the genocide, the Interahamwe placed new authorities known to be extremists in every sector. They were responsible for directing the massacres and continuing to mobilize Hutus to kill the Tutsi, and to control every Hutu who opposed them so that they would be punished. The main perpetrators were Shirambere Theophile, Mayor of Commune Shyanda, Ndironsanga Xavier, Councillor of Gatochi Sector, Hategekimana Jean, Nyabyenda, Rukundo Deo, Nyezabera, Nzabandora Pierre, Councillor, Ngirabanyiginya Antoine, Councillor, Gatera, Veterinarian, Habyarimana Claude, Student, and others. The school's inspector, called Baptiste, aka Tipe, was in charge of coordinating massacres throughout the locality of Save. In Gisanze, there was Kwibuka, a former mayor, while assistant mayor was in charge of Zivu. The Interahamwe had been instructed to assemble the Tutsis at Shyanda Commune since April 20th, 1994. Gathering them allowed killers to know the missing Tutsis from the list, and they went back to hunt them. On April 25th, 1994, the Tutsis who had been assembled at Commune were brought in 2 rounds to Rwasave to be killed one after the other, so that no one survived. Those who had come from Karama and Save were brought to Lake Disha and were massacred there. Many Tutsis were killed at Shyanda Commune and at the Catholic parish of Save. Roadblocks were established at Gatochi, led by Ndaisenga Francois, on the main road at a bus park, Kuchapa, and it was led by Councillor Ndironsanga Xavier. In the junction of the commune, it was led by Nzabarinda Yacinthe. At Musekera, it was led by Matabaro Edouard. GHC, at the football playground, is in the former Kigoma commune. There was a dangerous roadblock. A large number of Tutsis were gathered there, mostly from Nyabisindu commune and those living in GHC, Kigoma commune. After gathering them in big numbers, they took them to the forest called Kinihira because it was a place where the RPF Inkotanyi forces used to meet with the Rwandan delegation in peace talks. It was the forest that belonged to Murwanashyaka, who was also a prominent Interahamwe and played a key role in killing them. Others were killed in the forest called Arusha of Mivumbi, who was also a key Interahamwe and who massacred Tutsis in GHC. In particular, women and children were gathered in Muhimundu's house near the roadblock and the playground, and they were guarded by Interahamwe. It was a tactic used to gather them, rape them, and then kill them after. They were later killed in Kinihira forest with traditional weapons. Prominent figures included Nzigi Imfura Vincent, a famous businessman in Nyanza, and his car carried Interahamwe militia when they went to kill Tutsis in various parts of GHC. His car was also used to transport killing equipment, including machetes and more. Another person who participated in the killings was a gendarme called Barahira. Murwanashyaka, who owned a forest in which Tutsis were killed, was sentenced for life in prison in absentia. Until now, he hasn't faced justice. Tutsis of the former Muira commune started to flee on April 20th, 1994 to Muira commune office from various hills of Mututu, Murinja, Busoro, Munyinya, Mukoma, Matara, Nyakibungo, and elsewhere. Some were able to flee to Burundi because they lived near Kanyaru and crossed over to Burundi. Those who were not close to Burundi were attacked by killers, but they tried to fight back. Local Hutus of Muira did not immediately take part in the killings because in their early days they also helped Tutsis to defend themselves when they were attacked by Bugesera people. However, some of the Hutus, who were trained by Bandora, a prominent businessman at Ruhuha in Bugesera, participated in the attacks. Though Tutsis tried to defend themselves on April 20th, 1994, soldiers killed some with gunshots and Interahamwe killed the less energetic as they could not run as fast. On April 21st, 1994, another attack from Bugesera and Busoro came, but Tutsis defended themselves and reversed it, though it left some casualties. On the same day, they immediately fled to Muira commune, others to Murinja Catholic Church, others to Nyamure Hill, and some to Izar. On 22nd April 1994, another attack comprising of soldiers, killers from Bugesera and Muira commune took place. Tutsis also tried to reverse the attack, but it killed many people. On that day, a soldier made it clear to Hutus that they should not help Tutsis, but should kill them and take over their property. All Hutus immediately transformed and started killing Tutsis, like Twagirimana Jean. The more the people dispersed because of the attacks, the more they fled to different places, especially at Muira commune and Nyamure Hill. On April 25th, 1994, an attack killed about 50 Tutsis who were in Foya's house. including those who had been active in defending themselves during the previous attacks. Among the killers were Hutus who first helped them to fight back, like Daniel, a retired soldier, and Twagirimana Jean. About 500 Tutsis who had taken refuge at the Murinja Catholic Church were killed. They were taken from the church and misleadingly told that they are being taken to Muira commune to be protected. But the killers attacked them at Ruhubika and killed them. On April 26, 1994, about 25,000 Tutsis who had taken refuge at Muira commune were slaughtered. A huge Interahamwe attack killed all the Tutsis without help from soldiers. Muira, in Mayaga region, there is a memorial site in which bodies of Tutsis are buried in dignity. Those who were involved in the killings included Verinkindi Claver, a businessman. He was sentenced to life in prison by a Norwegian court. Muhutu Adalbert, a former MRND MP who first led Muira commune. Rusatsi Hezekiah, a councillor who succeeded Burgumestre during the genocide against the Tutsi. Nhawiyangira Augustin, who was a teacher and is serving his sentence in Nyanza prison. Rurinda Edouard, who was a teacher and lives in Malawi. Ruchema Mhunzi Jean, a businessman. Ruzindana Siras, who was a businessman and now lives in Congo, Brazzaville. Celestin, who was a soldier. Bujirimfura, who was the brigadier of Muira commune, and many others. During the night of April 25th to 26th, 1994, more than 100 Tutsis were killed at Ngomane at the former bridge of Ngomane River. The bridge linked Matyazo and Mayaga communes, currently Nyazo sector, Nyanza district. Most of them came from Nyazo commune, Karama sector, Chimvuzo, Rusatira, Ruhasha, Mugusa communes, and elsewhere. Some of them first fled to Karama Hill, where many Tutsis also died. As they were trying to run away from Interahamwe attacks, they went to Izar Songa, where they met other Tutsis. After that, they attempted to flee to Burundi through Muhero at the Kanyuro River. When they arrived at Ngomane, 1.5 hours away from Akanyari River, there was a roadblock and they were killed right there. Some of the prominent killers at the roadblocks were Gasharu cell leader called Namahungiro Paul, as well as Muhanarite Augustin and Njirabatinya. The Interahamwe then requested for support from those who had owned guns, including Muganza Joseph, and trained Interahamwe like Rushagaza Epaphodite and Ngomati. Tutsis were killed by guns, machetes, clubs, and other weapons. After that, their bodies were thrown over the bridge into the river and in trenches. It was hard to survive the attacks because it was in the valley and many attackers were surrounding them. Many Tutsis from Kigoma commune and its suburbs were massacred in Butantsinda. There were very dangerous roadblocks surrounded with excavated pits in which dead bodies were thrown. Some of the killers included Zaramba Isaac, Interahamwe leader and a businessman, as well as Kalisa Alois, a schools inspector. In the early days of the genocide, in Ruhasha, the entire population, Tutsis and Hutus went to fight the killers from Chinyamakara commune in Gikongoro. Burgumestre Rudakubana Martin also joined forces with the people to avert the attacks, but after attending a meeting on April 19, 1994 at Butare, he returned as a changed person and was wearing military uniform. On Mungogo Bridge, Tutsis were defending themselves, but they were defeated when Burgumestre Charles Munyaneza of Chinyamakara commune shot at them and they were dispersed and started to flee. After learning that all Tutsis were to be hunted, Chinyamakara killers, along with those from Ruhasha, immediately started killing, looting, and destroying their houses from Rwaniro sector and continuing to Ruhasha commune. The attacks were led by Kano Simba Alois, Charles Munyaneza, who was the Burgumestre of Chinyamakara, Muchumanyiko Silas, and other Interahamwe. They joined the leaders of massacres in Ruhasha commune, including Burgumestre Rudakubana Martin, Batsinda Patrick, a gendarme called Niwagororwa, Chibega, and others. They killed Tutsis who were gathered at Ruhasha commune from Gikongoro, Maraba, Ruhasha, Rusatira, and Mbazi. More than 171 Tutsis fled to EPR Gitunu because they had hoped for peace and survival, as some were members of the church and felt that they would be safe in the house of God. Tutsis had come from various parts of the country, including former Mutunu, Mugano, and other sectors. The former church leader, Rwamuhizi Alphonse, was first killed, while others who tried to hide were found and later killed with machetes and clubs. Muragizi Gabriel, who was the Burgumestre of Mwendo commune, ordered to kill them, and among those who led the attack was an evangelist named Bikorimana, accompanied by various other killers. Thank you for listening to another episode of Kwibuka Podcast. As always, make sure you leave us a review, sharing what you like about the podcast, and share with others who would be interested in listening.